Alright, welcome everyone. I'm going to do a quick video here going over my top 5 walleye lures. Uh, Most of these are going to be oriented toward shore fishing, but these can also I catch a lot of fish with them in the boat too. Doesn't matter if it's spring, summer, or fall. It doesn't matter. These are my top 5 lures, especially for fishing aggressive in the spring and fall when they come up shallow. So I'm going to jump right to them. I'd say my top lure for sure is going to be the jerkbait. These are a couple different ones. This is a KVD. This is a KVD jerkbait, like Strike King. This is in the clown color. Clown is going to be definitely my top color. I like clown a lot, or like a gold flash. A lot of the waters where I live are tannic. That means they're kind of like a brown color. So these brighter colors and also that gold puts out a really good flash. I really do like the clown color. These can be worked from shore pretty good. You just have to be cognizant of if you have a bunch of weeds like right on the shoreline. Just make sure you lift your rod tip up a little bit before you reel it in all the way. But these are deadly, especially in the springtime or in the fall time when they come up really shallow to feed. You use a couple of little jerks, just let it sit there. A lot of times you get crushed when it's sitting there. So just make sure that your line's somewhat tight, not super tight, but it's somewhat tight so you can be able to feel that hit. But these are definitely my top producing lures. You can pretty much fish them anywhere. This one's a little bit shallower. I think this goes down to about 6 feet at the end of like a long cast. And this one's a deeper one. This is by Rapala. This is the deep shad wrap. This is an 11 size. I think this is like a 90 millimeter size or so. But this one's gonna be a little bit deeper. If I know I'm fishing like drop-offs and reservoirs from the shore, or just like say from a boat, I'll definitely opt for a little bit deeper one, especially in the summertime. So really, if you're trying to just flat out find fish and it's windy and you want to cast, Lipless crankbaits definitely is one of my go-to baits. This is a rip and wrap in number 7. And this is the new, this is like a blade slash lipless bait that Rapala makes. I actually forgot what it's called. I think it's called like the blade wrap or something like that. But this is actually a really interesting lure. I got a lot more confidence in the rip and wraps for sure. A lot of people call these rattle traps. That's a brand of lipless crankbait, but these are definitely in any sort of size, variation, whatever, what have you. These are definitely one of my confidence baits. I can cover tons of water with them. Just having this tied on, I can work shallow water. I can work above weeds, coming through above weeds, ripping through weeds. I can jig these up in deep water too. If I'm ripping it back to shore, if I know there's a lot of sand, or if I'm in a boat, I can kind of work these slowly jigging and be able to get some inactive fish that way. Those are definitely that style of bait's a big confidence bait for me, especially if you're only going to tie on one bait and you can fish it anywhere. Moving on, if you're a little bit into some weedier areas, you got a lot of sticks and laydowns. Something I like to do is throw. This is by Kitech. This is just a swim bait. I'm not endorsing any brands or anything, but and this is on like a weedless worm hook. This is also right here. This is a weighted version if you need a little bit more weight or you're fishing deeper water. I like to fish these above weeds and see it comes through. It's really weedless coming through. So you can, a lot of times those walleyes will hide out in weeds for ambush points. And you can just paddle that thing along, boom, 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 and it'll come up. They push the bait down like that, and they get hooked. It's pretty common application in bass, but a lot of people, they use them for walleye, but not really in a weedless setting. I like to go in and fight in the cover for a walleye, because a lot of times they're not touched. Where I live, tons of people troll for walleye, or cast out minnows and such. So I do something a little bit different. And I usually do pretty well when I walleye fish. This weeds out a lot of the smaller ones too. Kind of a variation off of that. This is kind of like a combination between this swim bait and the jerk bait. This is a lot of people call them a fluke, which is that's actually a brand name. But this is it's called a weightless jerk bait, or like some people call them a soft jerk bait or whatever. But basically, all that's going to do is that's actually, although it's weightless, it still weighs quite a bit, and it depends on what size you get. This probably weighs about a 1/4 ounce by itself, and you can use it with like a little bit of a weighted, like the keel style hook like that. So it's not going to sink super fast. It's going to kind of sink like this and give a little bit of a shimmy. But these are really deadly around weeds, especially if the fish are inactive. You get kind of the perks of the jerkbait kind of suspending. These Z-Man ones also do float. So with a little bit heavier hook, it does kind of suspend there. You just kind of jerk, and it's really erratic, and you can just kill it right on the paws. A lot of times those walleye come up and crush it. And with the Z-Man, it lasts so long. They just come through, hit that, you just pull it back up into this little channel. I don't know if you can see that. And the bellies are hollow on there too, so you can use the shallower hook. Then that gives the hook room to push up like this. Here, I'll show you. Like that's how much meat gets exposed on that, like to the hook. That's quite a bit. So this is definitely a deadly way, especially if you're casting from shore and you got a lot of laydowns and stuff. I know a lot of reservoirs when that water flushes down toward the dam, it pushes a lot of those trees and stuff out to the side, and that a lot of times there'd be bait fish that hide out in there. And using one of these around that type of cover is deadly. And this is one of my go-to lures from fishing if it's weedy out, like around the shoreline if I'm fishing from shore, or even from a boat casting up by shore and just seeing what happens. A lot of times I get hit doing that. With these Z-Mans, I almost did it myself. You can't store these with other plastics, so if you have a bunch of pre-rigged plastics that you throw in a box, make sure that these are separate, because whatever this is made out of will definitely start to melt and kind of mess up all your other plastics too. And lastly, this is a little bit of a variation of an old classic. These are just regular jig heads. These are the VMC ones. I actually like these. They have a, let me open them up. They have like a little bait keeper on there. I don't know if you can see that, but that holds your lure on there really good. And these VMC hooks are actually really good. I like these for a bluegill too. Obviously a lot smaller size, but these are kind of a confidence bait for me. And then you can rig them on something like this. This is a small swim bait, like a small little swim bait that you can rig on there. I keep the hook exposed if I'm fishing with these, just because there are a bunch of different other weedless options. So I keep the hook exposed on there, and you can use like bigger curly tail grubs. You can use swim baits like this. Kind of whatever you want to swim on that hook. I really do like it. It's stout, but it's still thin enough that if you're using like lighter spinning tackle, you can still set the hook on. So overall, that's my quick take on shore fishing for walleye, like the type of lures I like to use. Most times I go out and I'm not like, pulling in huge, like, 25 to 30 inch walleye all the time, but for your inland lakes, generally, you can pull up 15 to 25 inch walleye. I mean, not 25, that's kind of big on the shore, but you can get them that way in the fall and the spring when they come up shallow to feed up on all those fish. They're a predator fish. You don't have to be sitting there fishing minnows off the bottom with a floating jig head. These are just a little bit different approaches I'm just throwing at you, especially if you live in an area like Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, or up in northern Michigan where I live. It's a lot of trolling baits and also a lot of live baits. So it's just a little something different to throw at the fish just to get them to react. And you can fish a lot faster doing it that way too. So if you want to see some more walleye fishing videos, especially from shore, comment down below. Let me know kind of what you're looking at, and let me know what's successful for you. This is just my top 5 lures. I want to hear what you guys are too. So comment down below, and until next time.